The project Loonse and Duinen was done by the advanced students as a part of the environmental geography minor. The study area is located in Noord-Brabant, where inland drift sands and unique habitat remain from the Ice Age. This area is a nature reserve, which is threatened by a process called ecological succession. Ecological succession is a process where stages replacing each other until a stable stage is formed. Each stage modifies the environment, which makes the environment more suitable for the next stage of succession. The other process that we are investigating is the nitrogen deposition, because it might have effect on the ecological succession speed. Nitrogen deposition describes the input of reactive nitrogen from the atmosphere to the biosphere. The sources of the nitrogen are emissions from agriculture, soil, fire, industry, sewage plants, and transportation. Two types of nitrogen deposition exist: dry and wet deposition. Wet deposition, predominantly rain and snow, carries reactive nitrogen. Dry deposition involves complex interactions between nitrogen compounds in the air and binding surfaces like dust, sand, or plants. The purposes of the project are to come up with a management strategy so the drift sand area keeps its openness, to create a monitoring plan to monitor the nitrogen deposition and its effects ecological succession, and to visualize the changes in vegetation with classification map. The clients are the province of Noord-Brabant, the Nature Monuments, and the Public Institute for Health and Environment. The park is managed and monitored by the Nature Monuments, who is responsible for the state of the park. The province of Noord-Brabant is responsible to report the state of the park to Brussels and control of the Nature Monuments management. The RIVM responsibility is to collect knowledge and information to promote public health and consumer safety and help to protect the quality of the environment. The following methods were used during the project: fieldwork, laboratory work, and Geographic Information System or GIS work. Now, I continue with the results and conclusions. The pH has been measured for each sample. The soil samples had a pH between 3 and 5, which is causing a slowdown in the soil microbiological activity. The rainwater samples had a pH 7, and the pH of the groundwater samples was between 5 and 7. The nitrogen deposition was monitored as well. These are the results. After the dry period, the nitrogen oxide concentrations were sensed to be the highest on the topsoil layer. This nitrous oxide might come from the main traffic roads which are surrounding the park. After the wet period, the ammonium concentrations were rising. This mostly comes from the air in form of precipitation such as rain or snow. The slow microbiological activity and the high level of nitrogen deposition causing the accumulation of nitrogen in the soil. Now the GIS results. These are the classified drone images that we made for our clients and for the next year project groups so they can visualize the changes in the vegetation of 2017 and 2018. The GIS results showed that the sandy area was around 30% in 1955, and then it has been drastically decreased until 2011. This time the management strategy plan was implemented, which resulted in a slight and slow increase in sandy area over the years. However, the areas where the forest or the topsoil were removed became mostly grassy areas. And finally, our advice and recommendations to the clients are the following. We advise to the province of Noord-Brabant to use the Brabant newsletter to inform the public and check the implementation of the monitoring and management plans. Our advice to the Nature Monuments to make use of students and volunteers for monitoring the area. Place signs showing changes in the park. And use drone with an infrared camera for comparison of vegetation. And finally our advice to the RIVM to assess vegetation layers in the ANK using tree locations and classification. And using detailed classification in ANK. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. If you want to know more detailed information about the project, please visit our blogs.